So we all have a place we like to call home, right? Right? A place where we can hang out, be ourselves, relax, do the things we usually want to do. A quote stating, "Home is where you hang your hat" by Lord John Worthman explains that, and not only in a way of just relaxation, but in two different forms. One of the form is the physical, whether you're actually taking off your hat, taking off a piece of article of clothing just to relax and be yourself, or the actual emotional part of being home and being somewhere where you can be secure with who you really are. That first part of the physical is like, you have that mask, you have that something hiding you, like a hat, whether it's hiding a bad hair day, or just trying to change your appearance in some way. You take off that article of clothing, you're back to who you really are. And then the emotional part of it is like, home is the place where you can actually be yourself. Despite the things you had at school, despite the things you had at work, and what people said to you. It's a place where you can kick your shoes off, be yourself without any care in the world. Those two things are really impactful to me, because I know you all know I wear a hat a lot. I feel like it is a part of who I am, and when I take it off, I am who I truly should be, despite how I am in front of everyone else. Because I know we all are a little fake when we have a different part of clothing on or the way we dress or anything like that. So when you go home, you're who you are and who you need to be. That's a quote.
No, you can keep that souvenir of the day.
Yes. My hair like doesn't like to do what I want it to do, so.
No, it's like perfect. Really? Yeah, it's good. I feel so alive. I'm like, yeah, just got out of the shower. Just take it. So hard right now. You want to go
All right, Evan, I like the way you opened. You wouldn't let the audience just sit there. You want them to respond to you, so you make an effort to engage them. I think that's good. You identify the quote. You've got a good interpretation of the quote that you're working on, so I think you've set it up pretty well. There's a bit of a preview. You've got the 2 points that you're going to talk about. So everything's pretty promising up to that point. And then you get to the body of the speech, and you don't really have much to say in those particular points. I like the idea that you have on the first point, but that's all you've got is the one idea. We need an illustration or an example, a story about yourself when you really are at home. How do you behave? What do you do that's a little bit different? Tell us one of those incidents about being yourself at home physically, that is different. How do you act differently, behave differently, speak differently, whatever it happens to be, and give us some detail on that. And then the same thing with the other idea, which I think is also a good idea. So I think you've got a couple of good ideas. Problem is that you don't have any way of making them more interesting than just the idea that you have, and those are kind of fleeting. So even though you've got the right idea and you've got a pretty good structure here, it's really underdeveloped and you need to give us a little bit more. On the presentation things, I think you've got several things that you're doing pretty well. You're very smooth in fluency when you're talking to us. Your facial expressions look like you're engaged. You have pretty good eye contact with the audience. Like I said, you took the hat off, so we'll give you some props on that. And then you kind of use that as an example. There are a couple of things, though, that you're doing that are a little bit odd. Like in the last 20 seconds of the speech, 30 seconds of the speech, your voice just drops out. It's as if, like, I've lost any interest in the presentation, and, well, let me just get done now, and that's about it. And you've got a pretty good summary of your idea. sell it a little bit, and you know, even if you're done early, even if you didn't have a lot of examples, you have a good idea. If you could sell that idea a little bit better, we'd pay less attention to the fact that there wasn't much development. And like I said, it just felt a little bit like you're abandoning it when you are listening to the speech. I'm sure that you'll be able to pick it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. So, because people look at me sometimes and say, what the hell is he talking about? You
I
know?
feel you on that.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, when you watch it, you say, oh, that makes sense. And if you know what I'm talking about, that's not quite as big a deal. But if you can't figure that out, watch, and I think you'll be able to pick out those problems. All right, thank you. And, you know, it was brief.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so.